In the following clip, which was at today's meeting, we're going to get to see McFarland's latest crony, Bob Nelson, on the job. This is the first time we've heard from him at a board meeting. I know he looks, he doesn't look like the picture I had of him, does he? He looks quite a bit older. Looks very distinguished. And I've already listened to his clip, and I found it interesting that the first thing he did was hire a consultant. That's the first thing he did, is hire a consultant. I can imagine how much money was spent on that. They don't tell you. We never get to find out. Mr. Nelson, called up by Neil. Hello, Bob. I need you to come up here and blow some smoke for me, Bob, and I'll give you $200,000 on top of your already huge pension. It was $50,000 a year. Bob comes running, just like the rest of them did, just like Supporter did and Oxio did. Nobody in this Portland media bothers to ask any questions about this blatant cronyism. What are you going to do? I'm getting very tired of reporting on all of this because it's obviously there's nothing anybody can do about any of it. They're going to do what they want. The major media is not going to pick up any of it. And they're going to just blow smoke. This is what they do. They're going to blow more smoke and more smoke and more smoke. And most people aren't examining these issues like I am and some of the other bloggers. So they don't have any idea the truth behind the situation. They don't have any idea that Nelson is a crony of Neil's from way back. They don't know the history here. It's very distressing to watch what's happening from my point of view and to be completely powerless to do anything about it. Anyway, we'll watch Bob. The only thing I can say, he's there specifically to blow smoke and pretend that he's going to solicit opinions of the frontline employees and whatever. I mean, I wish him well. For $200,000, you better get something out of the guy. But, my opinion based on years of watching this stuff is he's there to blow smoke and spread more propaganda. I mean, Trimet lives in a world of false propaganda, but it's accepted culturally without any questions. And this is just more the same. So here's fast talk. Well, listen to how the way he talks too. He's talking awful fast. It's like breakneck speed. It's hard to really follow what he's saying because he's going so fast. And then right at the end, he just goes, blah, 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 blah. Any questions? I mean, he just ends it as abruptly as fast as his speaking was. So what is there to say? We know what's going on here. Not a damn thing we can do about it. Hope you're enjoying your extra $200,000, Bob.
Under the general manager report, I asked Bob Nelson to come up. In July, we welcomed Bob. As you know, he's been digging into the whole question of how do we improve the quality of our service for our customers, how do we improve the quality of service for those who actually see the service on the street. He's been working with the help of consultant Barbara Ramirez and been looking at some key areas. We shared some of those with you in a report. I've asked him to briefly review his findings and where he is in this process.
So thank you, Neil. Board members, good morning. At last month's briefing, I mentioned that we had engaged a consultant, Barbara Ramirez Spencer, who has considerable transit experience in New York City's MTA, to assist us in reviewing and contrasting certain Trimet work processes against those of 5, let's say, peer transit agencies. And those transit agencies were Dallas and Denver, Minneapolis, San Diego, and Salt Lake City. The 4 areas of examination were the Operations Center or Control Center. That's the unit of our agency that dispatches buses and controls the movement of trains. Right sizing of transportation management. What should it look like and how are our peer agencies staffing? Frontline employee communication, which is a very difficult issue for all of us in transit because most of our employees are not in front of us, they're out there. So how do we communicate with them in meaningful ways? And then finally, bus operator training. So those were the 4 areas of examination. Now, we undertook this study to help us improve efficiencies and in doing so advance the perspective of the customer. We did that, we were hoping to get a better understanding of how to improve operational processes, identify problems quickly and systematically. That's this notion of root cause analysis, right? Where we can get at a problem, not always work the same problem and correct it problem after problem, but look at causality of the problem and eliminate it. Establish valid and reliable service measures. We capture an enormous amount of performance data, and we use it. But the study suggests that we can use it better, more assertively, more directionally to drive change. And then finally, more precisely determine single points of accountability. In a large operational organization such as ours, the delivery of service and the performance of tasks are accomplished by numbers of people. So accountability gets diluted. And so by more narrowly identifying accountability, not in a way to point a finger at someone who did when something goes wrong, but to empower that person to take ownership for results. So that was also part of this. Now, in addition to talking to peer transit properties, the consultant also talked with about 30 of our senior and middle managers, as well as representatives from our front line and station agent, bus dispatch, and rail control. We have received that final draft of the study. It's entitled Measuring Up, and we're in the process of reviewing those findings and recommendations. Notwithstanding the fact that the study indicates that Trimet measures up pretty well in those 4 categories against those 5 entities, we understand that the notion of continuous improvement, which the general manager has directed, should prompt us not to be satisfied with the status quo, and that continuous improvement is aimed at never allowing a successful organization, and we are a successful organization, to be content or stand still. Those recommendations are juxtaposed against a series of challenges. Because when you talk about change in an organization, in a large public organization, driving change has difficulty. There's resistance, there's confusion, there's a misunderstanding of why. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all of the recommendations. The draft report, the draft study will be available. But I wanted to let you know that we're going to be focusing on these findings and developing strategies for implementation. We'll be forming working groups that will look at each of the 4 areas of examination and the subsequent recommendations. We're going to do that in combination with continuing to incorporate and advance this notion of culture of safety, service delivery, vehicle reliability, and operator support. They're all connected. We're going to adopt and execute continuous improvement processes as a way of looking at how can we do our work better. This is simply a never-ending effort to discover and eliminate the main causes of problems. That's a big component of continuous improvement. I'll be looking for incremental improvements, understanding that a process improvement is always a work in progress. It's never there because the notion of continuous improvement is it's ongoing. And that continuous improvement is and aimed at improving processes and outcomes through simplification, not complexity. Meaning that we want to deconstruct a problem. And when we look at solving a problem and we modify, change, or otherwise revise a procedure or a process without deconstructing the original process, we will often build a change upon an unsatisfactory process in the first place. So that's this notion of root cause analysis. We're going to dial in, each of these work groups will dial in appropriate frontline personnel in that area of examination to make sure we're getting the proper feedback and that the direction we're going aligns. So it's important to generate ideas from the frontline workforce. There's no question about that. They have a very good perspective on things. So in a quick summary, this study indicates that we're doing pretty well, but that we can do better. And if we can do better, we should do better. And if we can do better, the public would expect us to do better. And so that's the direction that this study is putting us in, and we're going to pursue it in that manner. Take any questions, please?